I want to welcome everyone and thank you for joining us for a special October board meeting of the Board of Trustees of the State University of New York, which has been publicly called and noticed. Let me also note that we are connected by video in several locations around the state and webcasting this meeting live on the internet. Will the Secretary, Joel, please call the roll of our members?
Thank you, Chairman McCall. In addition to yourself, we're joined here today by Trustees Bellick, Korngold, Fata, Good, Neffer, Lewin, Mold, Murad, Socarides, Spielvogel. We're also joined via video by Trustees DeLay, Ehrenberg, and Lichtman.
Thank you. So therefore, we have a quorum and we will proceed. I want to first announce that we have excused from today's meeting Chancellor Zimper. There's a group called EDUCAUSE, which has several thousand higher education officials from all over the country meeting in Florida, and today she is the keynote speaker, so we have excused her to attend that meeting. However, we have with us today several members of her staff. Our Provost and Deputy Chancellor, Alex Cartwright, is here. Bill Howard is here, our General Counsel. Joanna Duncan-Portier, who is the Senior Vice Chancellor, is here. Stacy Hengerson, the Acting Chief of Staff. Jen Laturco, Assistant Vice Chancellor. Sandra Casey, Deputy General Counsel. And I particularly want to thank my colleagues, Governor, who on a short notice have come from all parts of the state to be here today. Before we move to the formal agenda, we have one resolution to take up, and that is a waiver of notice requirements. Will the Secretary please read that resolution?
Thank you, Chairman McCall. Resolution reads, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby waives the 7-day meeting notice for the purposes of holding an expedited special meeting, and be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby waives the requirement that the agenda for such expedited special meeting be made available 3 days in advance of such meeting due to the special nature and time sensitivity of the matters to be discussed.
Is there a motion to pass this? Moved by Ambassador Spielvogel, seconded by Trustee Fata. All right. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Our agenda today is focused on one very important topic, and I want to move directly to that, a discussion of campus safety issues. I want to welcome everyone again to our October board meeting at the SUNY Global Center in New York City. This is really a momentous day for the State University of New York. This is the first time that anyone can remember that a New York State governor has come to a SUNY Board of Trustees meeting, which speaks volumes to the gravity and importance of this topic. In particular today, we are focused on protecting and educating the students that we serve throughout the 64 SUNY campuses. And in partnership with Governor Cuomo, we will ensure their safety. SUNY is already committed to providing tools, resources, and the proper responses to students that attend our schools. It is a responsibility we take very seriously, and our programs and initiatives to stop sexual assault are often cited as a national model in compliance, prevention, and response. We have two of our presidents here today, President Satish Tripathi from University of Buffalo and President Deborah Stanley from Oswego. They have both championed best practices to ensure the well-being of students on their respective campuses. Through their work and the work of SUNY councils Joe Storch and Andrea Stagg, we will continue to dedicate our efforts towards the safety of our SUNY communities across the state. Now, it is my distinct honor to introduce the man whose vision and commitment to this important issue is driving major changes. Governor Andrew Cuomo has developed a plan to increase awareness, sound policy, and clear language to combat sexual assault and violence. Governor, thank you for your leadership and for making our students' safety a #1 priority. We would love to hear from you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. First, let me begin by thanking Chairman McCall, who's done a truly extraordinary job for SUNY, which is no surprise because he's been an extraordinary public servant all his life in a number of capacities. And he has a distinguished career that he's brought to this great institution, and he's made it even better, and I'd like to publicly thank him for his service. as well as thanking each and every one of you who have agreed to serve as trustees. I know with all the demands that you have on you from a professional and personal point of view to serve on yet another board, another institution, takes even more of your time. So I want to thank you for your service. I also want to note that your service was truly extraordinary. You look at the progress that SUNY has made over the past few years, and it is a dramatic and dynamically different institution than it was just a few years ago. We talk about bureaucracy and how hard it is to move a bureaucracy. You get to an institution the size of SUNY, you're talking about a seriously large bureaucracy. And it has moved with lightning speed and made all sorts of reforms that you should be incredibly proud of. You know, it started as one of the great assets for the state and one of the real visions for the state when it was constructed in the first place. Somewhere along the way, SUNY didn't get the time and attention that it deserved. And over the past few years, we've been trying to correct that, and we have. And we've also been transforming the role of SUNY. SUNY is now not just an academic institution, it's also an economic institution. And that's what so many of the schools across the nation are doing. They're marrying academia and the commercial expression of that academic product. And SUNY is doing that as quickly and as well as anyone. Dr. Tripathi and Dr. Stanley, you know, they know their SUNY institution is now not just looked to for academics, but also for leadership in regional economic development. And it really is an exciting period of transformation. The SUNY 2020 program has been going really great. The competitions that we now have, where the SUNY schools have to compete for the awards, first was a little unsettling. You know, competition is always unsettling. I'd rather just win and just have it handed to me, but I think the competition has now been accepted by the institution overall, and it's a positive. So kudos to all of you. One of the issues that we've been working on as a state, which is a nationwide issue, but we've been focusing on, is the issue of women's rights, women's equality, women's inequality, depending on your point of view. I proposed just over a year ago a Women's Equality Act that the legislature is considering, and we're going back and forth, that points out a number of areas of injustices and inequalities vis-a-vis women and possible solutions for it. And it's a hot topic of debate last year. I expect it'll be a hot topic of debate going forward this year. At least I hope so. Overlaid on top of that is that there has been an epidemic of sexual violence in this country that is truly disturbing and is inarguable. You know, it is no longer past the point where we're talking about one or two incidents or an anecdotal reaction. It is an epidemic, and it is spreading, and it is pervasive. It's plaguing our college campuses. It's astonishing. It's troubling. 1 out of 4 college women will be a victim of sexual assault. 1 out of 4 college women will be a victim of sexual assault. I mean, it is breathtaking. Fewer than 5% of the rapes of college women are reported to law enforcement. Fewer than 5% are reported to law enforcement, which means the perpetrator, the rapist, can go on to rape again. 80 to 90% of the time, the woman knew the assailant. States are grappling with this with more or less success. The federal government has been grappling with it with more or less success. We should be proud our Senator Gillibrand, has done great work in this area and has proposals that are being discussed in Washington. And while the states are grappling with it, and while the federal government is discussing it, I'm urging that New York actually acts. And New York, once again, points the way on a very difficult but very important issue. We have been working on a policy with the SUNY officials and the advocacy community and the victims' rights communities, and we've been working on it for a number of months, and that is before you today as a resolution. Several of the high points. Number one, a uniform definition of consent. Right now, different institutions have their own definition of consent. I understand the individuality of the 64 institutions in SUNY, but some things should be uniform. And a woman's consent in Oswego should be a woman's consent in Buffalo, should be a woman's consent in Albany. So this establishes a uniform definition of consent. It establishes rights where the woman, if she believes she was a victim of a sexual assault, can deal with the campus police and notify the campus police or the local police or the state police. But it is the woman's choice and the woman's option. Fewer than 5% of the cases are reported. Why? Because the incentive for the school is to treat it as an internal matter. Why? Because the school doesn't want the exposure, the school doesn't want the publicity. It's not a positive in any situation. And I believe that the incentives actually can be a disservice to the victim, because the incentive for the institution is at odds with what might be in the best interest for the victim. And again, I understand the tendency and I understand the motivation to handle it as an internal matter. But rape is a crime. This is not subject to a college campus determination or a college campus policy. It is a crime. And a campus cannot define what is a crime as something less than a crime, and can't be imposing and adjudicating what should be adjudicated as a crime. Now, it should be the victim's choice. If the victim says, I want to deal with it as a campus matter, deal with the campus police, fine. But the victim should know it's campus police or local police or the state police. Third, the policy calls for amnesty for reporting sexual crimes if you are a victim or a bystander. You won't be penalized for violating campus drug or alcohol rules. What happens is very often a potential witness sees something but doesn't want to report it because she or he may have been in a situation that could expose them to some different liability. Alcohol was involved, drugs were involved, and the person doesn't want to get into trouble with the campus policy, and therefore they don't report it. So there would be amnesty. A statewide uniform training of SUNY police, so everyone has the same training when it comes to this situation. Notification of what we call a Victim's Bill of Rights by SUNY in a uniform way as part of the orientation for students, and at the time that any person makes the complaint. So at the time of orientation, also at the time of the incident itself. And a person gets notified of their rights in a very simple and clear way, orally and in writing. Those are that's the essence of the policy that has been, again, collectively developed. And I want to thank the professionals at SUNY who have worked very hard, as well as all the advocacy groups that we've been talking to. Also, I have the pleasure today of naming Linda Fairstein who is probably one of the experts, certainly nationally, potentially internationally, in terms of victims' rights and violence against women. She has been working on this issue and really one of the first people in the country who spotted the issue and gave it the attention and the light that it deserves. And you could not have a better advisor on this issue. And I've asked Ms. Fairstein if she would help SUNY implement this policy. Secondarily, while SUNY is implementing the policy, learn what is right, what is wrong with the policy, or should there be any tweaks to the policy, because my goal would be to make this a law eventually. And use this implementation at SUNY as a way to also be testing the policy to see if there should be any refinements. I don't mean to suggest, and it would not be accurate for anyone to suggest, that this is a SUNY problem. It is not. This is a societal problem. This is Harvard and Yale and Princeton as much as it is Albany and Buffalo and Oswego. It's not SUNY's problem by origination. I would suggest it should be SUNY's problem to solve and SUNY's place to lead. And I believe there's an advantage for SUNY here. If SUNY is the institution that leads on this policy and is providing a safer environment for its students, I think that's an advantage for SUNY and a competitive advantage for SUNY. This is not the first time we've had a situation like this. Many years ago, before this gray hair, I was the Attorney General of the state of New York. At that time, we came across a problem with student lending, which had been, again, a nationwide situation. And banks, lending companies, had worked out preferential relationships with college campuses, where they would basically give a gift to a college campus, and the college campus would make them their preferred lender. And the bank would often charge a higher interest rate to the student. And we considered that a conflict of interest. We went to SUNY. We talked about it with SUNY. SUNY changed their policy and adopted a more reformed policy. SUNY did it. Other schools followed SUNY. We passed a state law based on what SUNY did. That state law then basically became the law of the land. Why? Because it was SUNY and because it was New York. And SUNY has a formidable size and population. And if it works for SUNY, it will work in other institutions. And in many ways, what makes New York special, one of the things that makes New York special, is that this is the progressive capital. And historically, part of New York's legacy is we take these complicated issues and we sort them out and we figure them out first, and we set a precedent, and other states then follow the precedent that we set in New York. And I think this is one of those situations where New York can once again take what is a difficult, uncomfortable topic, not one that anyone wants to talk about, but SUNY can lead and can reform, and that's part of what this is all about. This is a personal situation for me. I have 3 young ladies. I have 2 in college now. The third is going to go into college next year, hopefully. The Cuomo family, my father and mother, 14 grandchildren, 13 girls out of 14 grandchildren. So God has been good to us when it comes to relationship with females. So, but it's personal for me, it's personal for all of us. I mean, these numbers are really staggering and really disturbing. And therein lies the opportunity for SUNY. I want to thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to come before you. I want to thank the chairman. I know it's unique, but I think this situation deserved it and mandated it. and I thank you for the courtesy. And with that, I yield back to the chairman.
Thank you, Governor Cuomo. We really appreciate the fact that you have put forward a strong and comprehensive plan, and we are going to unite behind it, and we really do appreciate your leadership. And so I'd like to open the floor now to our trustees if they have any questions in terms of what they've heard from the governor. Trustee Socarides.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Governor, for being here. Thank you for your commitment to SUNY and the administration's commitment to SUNY and making SUNY a priority. It is a glorious part of New York State, and we're happy to serve here, and we're especially happy to serve under a governor who has made making the SUNY the best it can be a priority. And I also want to say thank you for your leadership on this issue, but thank you more importantly, as importantly, to your leadership on issues of equality and basic fairness and human rights for all of New Yorkers. And I, as a LGBT New Yorker, perhaps more than some others, have been directly affected by your willingness to stand up for people who really need someone to stand up for them, as I think the people we've spoken about today really need. So this is just another example of something that I have felt very personally and that has been very meaningful to many citizens of this state. So I want to thank you for that. So I think, as the chairman said, I think people around this table are going to say that, going to think that this is the right path for us to ensure the safety of our students. And we're happy to partner with you on this. But perhaps you could talk a little bit about what you see as the next steps to implement the plan and how we're going to go about that.
Well, first, in general, thank you very much for your kind comments. Richard Socarides is another man who has made a fantastic contribution, both to the state and the nation, I might add, federal and state level. The implementation, I think, first we come up with a clear codification that all the institutions are comfortable with. We believe that what we've outlined here, Richard, is in compliance with what the other institutions now have in place, except for where we're asking for uniformity. And that would require some tweaking by all 64 to come up with the uniform standards, et cetera. But as far as the implementation, as quickly as we can do it, my request to Ms. Fairstein is she assist you in the implementation, see if there are any bumps along the way, see if there are any refinements that we should make through the implementation, use it as a little bit of a laboratory. And then once we get that done, I want to see if we can get that into a piece of legislation, get it codified, and get it passed.
Thank you. Other questions, trustees? Yes. Trustee Neffer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, Governor. I'm president of the University Faculty Senate, and not surprisingly, this is an issue that the faculty are very concerned about as well, both for our students and really, even across the board for staff and faculty at the state university system. So I really applaud your leadership on this and working together with SUNY. I do like the idea that SUNY can take the lead. Not only within the state but nationally on issues like this, and this is an issue that I also share with you, personal concerns, because I also have a daughter in college right now. So, I understand completely the personal point of view as well. The Faculty Senate, I know, is going to be extremely happy to work with the rest of SUNY on these issues, and when we meet later this month, we'll be putting forward a resolution in support of what the board is doing today.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Trustee Fata.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Governor. This is pretty much the discourse so far has pretty much been focused on women as assault victims, as well it should. Do we have any data, any evidence where the assault could be into the LGBT community?
Yes.
That's a good question. It's a good question. Well, first, an assault is an assault, right? You're right. We've been speaking about it in the context of women, but it could be LGBT, could be men. I don't have any data on LGBT or male incidents. I don't know. Jim, do we have any?
In the LGBT community, you notice it's not as pervasive as violence against women, but there are substantial data that suggest there are instances that exist.
There was some way to make sure that as people read this, they understand it's not just about women being attacked, it's about anybody being attacked because of sexual preferences.
Well, and if I can add that, you referenced Senator Gillibrand's terrific work on trying to amend the military code of criminal justice. And the evidence there is perhaps, they've really taken a look at this issue in the military, and they have, the numbers are remarkably similar. The assaults on people seem to be regardless of gender. I mean, men are assaulted, women are assaulted, and it's particularly, as Trustee Fata perhaps alludes to, it's particularly troublesome in some of the communities of men because men are much more unlikely to come forward, as Linda Fairstein will certainly be able to help us understand.
Trustee Good.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi, I'm Tina Good, President of the Faculty Council of Community Colleges. And I, too, want to thank you, Governor Cuomo, Chairman McCall, and Chancellor Nancy Zimfer, who's not here today, but I know that she's been a big part of this as well, on taking a leadership role. I want you to know that I sent out a draft to our delegates of this resolution, and my phone has been abuzz with great enthusiasm from faculty on this issue. One thing that I want to point out, one of the first emails I received at 5 o'clock this morning was they wanted to commend the writers of this document on the gender neutrality of the language that already exists within the resolution. I think what I want to do is also tap into what Trustee Neffer was saying, in that what I found remarkable this morning is the faculty expertise and sensitivity to this issue. And I hope that we can have a strong voice for our faculty, both from the Faculty Senate and the community colleges, so I think they can really help with the implementation.
Certainly. I think
Thank
it's a
you.
good point.
Trustee Moll.
Hi, my name is Lori Molden. I'm the president of the Student Assembly and also a trustee. We put together a sexual assault and domestic violence task force too, and I would like to offer the students' insight into this. If you want to reach out to us, I would really like to work in connection with what you're doing and see if we can't push this forward.
Great, thank you. Other questions from trustees? If not, I'd like to move now for us to have an opportunity to hear from Linda Fairstein, a former prosecutor who is one of America's foremost legal experts on crimes of violence against women and children. For 3 decades, she served in the office of the New York County District Attorney, where she was chief of the Sex Crimes Prosecution Unit. In that position, Ms. Fairstein supervised the investigation and trial of every Manhattan case involving sexual assault, domestic violence, child abuse, and homicides arising out of these crimes. We are fortunate that she has agreed to be a special advisor to help implement this plan. Ms. Fairstein, thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much, Chairman McCall, and thank you, Governor Cuomo. I am honored for this opportunity to work with everyone at SUNY in this very important plan. The topic is among the most serious we face as a nation today, and as the governor rightly said, it is of epidemic proportions on college campuses across this country, everywhere. The issue of sexual violence is not new to colleges, but over the past years, we have seen at last new awareness and attention to its prevalence in the system. It is great news to see this SUNY University system, New York State, step up and mandate, as the governor said, that this will not be tolerated. In my experience, this only happens after a crisis on a campus, as you've seen with many of the greatest schools in this country, and by then it's too late. So this is a really brilliant way to approach it. I served for nearly 3 decades as a prosecutor focusing on these crimes. I know firsthand the trauma of sexual assault, the lasting damage it has on women, on men, on any survivor of the crime. And I know also the difficulty of bringing justice and holding perpetrators responsible. I also know the terrific burden that the federal government placed with the Dear Colleague letter of 2011 on campuses to do this work when you exist for other purposes. The measures outlined by Governor Cuomo today are the right steps to respond. to prevent sexual assault on college campuses, which is certainly everyone's goal, and clearly puts this state on the forefront of efforts across this nation to address the issue. So I look forward to working with everyone, faculty, students, administration, board, and to helping implement this very, very forward-thinking and smart plan. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
Ms.
Thank
Housen,
you.
thank you very much, and we look forward to working with you. Now I'd like to introduce one of our most respected SUNY leaders, Dr. Deborah Stanley, the president of SUNY Oswego, a college widely recognized for its broad program offerings and high quality. Just want to mention a lot of good things we can say about you, but you just competed for a national grant, the first time a grant where 5,000 colleges competed, and you were a winner. You got a $2.8 million grant from the federal government to help do something that's so important, is to help the transition of our students from our community colleges to our four-year colleges. So Deborah, we're pleased that the leadership you provide for us, and we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you, Governor Cuomo, as well. I am from way upstate. That is SUNY Oswego. We're way up on Lake Ontario. It's not snowing there.
Yeah. This week.
You know, all of our campuses are unique environments. Young people are on their own, often for the first time, especially within SUNY. Our young people come to reside on the college campuses. And the campus really becomes their home away from home. They're making decisions in new environments, and they're not always well prepared to make those decisions. So I know that this action really states what we've all come to understand. It is all of our responsibility. From the governor, Governor Cuomo, to our chairman, McCall, of course, our chancellor, Nancy Zimpher, to all of the trustees, to college presidents, way down to residence hall assistants. We're all undertaking this burden to go forward to ensure that we provide a safe environment for students. Clearly, the decision here today is a major priority for all of us, and it should be. And we thank the governor and the chairman and all of the trustees for adding your insight and, most importantly, your authority to this resolution. But I also want to assure you that you have a wellspring of goodwill and good faith in the presidents and leaderships on our campus. I know we're all wrestling with how to best combat sexual assault. We all understand it clearly to be criminally based. We all understand it to be circumscribing the academic and the pursuits of all of our students. We're talking about educational equity here, and that is always something that we want to stand up strongly for. It's simply good policy to adopt the best practices across the system. So all of us are doing many things on our campuses, but doing them together will give us greater insight and will allow us to arrive at the best way to stand up as leaders in our country, certainly our state, our country, and maybe even our world. We're taking real action, and that's what's really important. We know that the best outcome is to train and to teach our campus communities what is not acceptable and what is injurious, and where victims can turn to for help. Help is there. With this action, we will have the best tools and resources to assist victims, and this mandate from the governor and the board will help bolster all of the efforts that we have already been trying to wade through and establish on our campuses. What we're doing here today will make SUNY a leader. In New York State, a national leader, combating sexual assault is a worthy cause. So I want to thank the governor, I want to thank the board, I want to thank Chairman McCall and certainly Chancellor Zimpher for the leadership here. I want to thank the leadership throughout SUNY. I know we've had expert consultants in our SUNY Council anytime we call. I know that our faculty want to stand up on this issue strongly, and they tell us that all the time. We are working very closely with our students. As a matter of fact, we're developing a video on SUNY Oswego's campus that will be a local video to say it's on us, as has come out of the national arena recently. I have a listing here of all the things that are happening on our campus, but it is only a model that you can see what is happening on all of the SUNY campuses. I know. We are all very focused on this as leaders. So thank you again. I commend the board for this commitment. I commend the governor for his commitment and his vocal advocacy here for women and for all victims of this crime. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deborah. There's one person that I did not introduce at the table, and that's Dr. Jim Malatras. He was with us for a while. The governor has taken him back, and it's good to know that he's certainly here. We share him, 6 months here, 6 months there. But to know that he certainly played a major role in this as we continue to strengthen and enrich the relationship we have with your office. And Jim Malatras is really a great link, and we appreciate the fact that you have brought him here with you today. Now, we will now move to the formal resolution on sexual assault prevention and response. Will the secretary please read the resolved clause?
Thank you, Chairman McCall. Resolved that in consultation with the SUNY state-operated campuses and community colleges, within 60 days, the chancellor or designee shall adopt a comprehensive, uniform, system-wide sexual assault prevention and response plan to be implemented at all SUNY campuses. And be it further resolved that all SUNY campus presidents must report to the chancellor or designee by March 31st, 2015, the actions they have taken to address the measures set forth above, and the chancellor shall subsequently report to the board on the consolidated actions of the campuses, and that the chancellor shall also report these actions to the governor.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve this resolution? Trustee Lewin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm privileged to move this resolution forward.
That's all.
And
That's enough.
I will love to make a comment if I may.
Certainly.
Governor, as a woman and as a trustee, I would like to express my gratitude for your leadership on this very, very important issue. I like to underscore what has been said time and time again. Students achieve their fullest potential only when they live and learn in an environment where they feel respected, safe, and valued. We thank you.
Is there a second to the resolution? To the motion? Second, Trustee Moe. All right. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. I want to thank you all, and certainly want to thank the governor for being a partner in this important endeavor for the students and the citizens of this state to know that we're working together not only to educate our students, but to protect them and enable them to be contributing citizens going forward. So thank you all. Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Trustee Socarides, second by Trustee Murad. All in favor? Okay. Thank you all.